Hey everyone, welcome to DevRunner. My name is Paul, and this is episode 9 of my subscriber spotlight series, where I talk to inspiring runners in order to motivate you along your running journey. And today I have another amazing runner with me. He is known to all of you as Running Man Sam. He's an amazingly fast guy. He's got an upbeat attitude. I love him. He's got an amazing obsession with running shoes, and we're going to talk about all of that today. So without any further ado, Sam, thank you so much for being here. This is a real pleasure for me.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, so we've obviously had a few chats before on your live streams and on Tony James's live stream, but yeah, really appreciate the opportunity to have a sort of more one-to-one chat with you here and sort of get to know each other a little bit more this way. And yeah, so basically, as Paul said, I'm known to most as Running Man Sam. Obviously, my name's Sam, but just sort of a name I've gone by on Instagram, and it's just kind of stuck the whole time. It's now what my YouTube name is and all that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean that's what people know me as. So yeah, I'm basically a sort of runner come weightlifter. Started off as weightlifting, and then just sort of fell in love with running, and now I have a YouTube page, as I said, starting up with my other sort of business partner, trying to start up a run club as well. And yeah, just sort of on this crazy running journey, really, just sort of enjoying it and going along with it.
That's so awesome. So Sam, before we get into all the things about running proper, I'm hoping we can just go back a little bit. You can talk a little bit more about like your life from the beginning, everything that you think is relevant that got you to being a runner in the first place.
Definitely. So yeah, I mean, so I'm 29 now. Feel old these days, but yeah, so I'm 29. I started off at an athletics club when I was younger, so it was only minor. It wasn't like any sort of championship or county level. I could pretend it was, but it wasn't. It was just a sort of a Sunday league type thing. And I started off there. I can't remember my age, maybe 12, 13, 14, something like that. And also played football or soccer, as you may call it, but we played football at school. And again, played for a team there. But yeah, so I sort of did athletics when I was younger. It was more 100 meters, 200 meters, long jump, javelin, that kind of thing. I wasn't actually as bulky as I am now back then, but I was kind of into the 100 meters, 200 meter sprints. You know, it was kind of like I was a sprinter kind of thing. You know, like in football, I was the up front. I was the one that was like sprinting for the ball and you know, with the speed. And then yeah, so I sort of transitioned into weightlifting when I was about 15 or 16. I just got really into the gym, just wanting to look all aesthetically good, you know, like bulking up and that kind of thing. And it kind of I've got a sort of an addictive personality, so I really got into weightlifting. Never at any time have I ever taken any steroids or anything like that. It was all natural, all a bit of fun. It was just, and I never did any competitions or anything like that. It was just a hobby, you know. It was just something that I did probably 6, maybe most of the time 7 days a week, but you know, an hour a day. But I just loved it, you know. I just absolutely loved it. And then I sort of again transitioned. So, well, I say transition, I added to it. So then I sort of found boxing, and for about a year or so, I did boxing again, coinciding with the weightlifting, because obviously I was in like a heavyweight category as a boxer. So it was like I wanted to maintain my strength and all that kind of thing as well. And yeah, so obviously with the boxing comes running. You want to be fit. I had my first fight coming up, and I thought, if I lose this fight, I don't want it to be because the guy's fitter than me, and I sort of run out of breath or whatever. You know, in the gym I'd been doing the odd 5. You know, well, I say the odd 5K weekly. I do a 5K, but that was it. You know, and some uphill sprints on the treadmill, sort of a minute on, a minute off. You know, nothing major, just a little bit of fat burning stuff. And as I say, a weekly 5K. But so for this boxing fight that I had coming up, I wanted to make sure my fitness was well there, you know. So I started running a little bit further, would do sort of like 5, 6. I think my furthest ever run at the time I did then was probably a 9-mile run was the furthest I ever ran then.
Well, that's a pretty good distance.
Yeah, it was. And I was like thinking, I never thought I'd run 9 miles. I never thought I'd run more than sort of 4 or 5 miles. And then yeah, so anyway, I had the boxing fight, won the boxing fight. I beat him in the first 45 seconds, and knocked him out in 45 seconds. So I was pretty pleased with that. And then, yeah, so the girl I was with at the time, we had a baby together, and I just didn't really have time then to sort of commit to going to boxing at 7 o'clock classes and things like that. You know, with the gym, it's fluid. You can do that whenever you want. You can go in the morning or the evening. You know, it's when it's good for you. And with running, it's the same sort of thing. So I just sort of thought, well, I actually really enjoyed running when I was training for the boxing match, and then I sort of just it just went from there. Really, I ended up running a little bit more, joined a running club, a local running club, and then just sort of fell in love with it, really, and now I'm a combination of just a runner sort of first, if you like, but I
Okay.
still do the weightlifting, not 6 or 7 times a week, but you know, it's more of a because I've already built that mass, it's more of a maintenance phase now, you know, so I don't have to lift as heavy or as often. It's just maintaining the muscle mass that I've already sort of gained through my journey, kind of thing. So yeah, that's basically my
Gotcha.
history of fitness.
That's awesome. So, like you just said, you can pursue weightlifting on your own schedule, and you said you do the same. You can do the same thing with running. They're very free
Yeah,
form in that way. You're your own boss when it comes to that kind of stuff. So,
definitely.
what I'm interested in is what made the mental shift for you? What made you decide that weightlifting and boxing were kind of going to become or play second fiddle to your running? When did running come to the fore for you, and why did it come to the fore for you?
Probably just before the first lockdown in the UK. I can't remember exactly the date of that. Maybe say it's a year and a half ago, something like that. I was running before the lockdown, but then I decided to make an Instagram page where I made the Running Man Sam Instagram page, and because every one of my friends and family was sick and tired of me posting about runs and this race, you got your mum on there and your cousins and your aunts, and they're interested for about a week or so, and then it's like, all right, another run, another race, another
I'm
this.
with you. I know exactly
So
what
I
you're
just
talking
I'm
about.
yeah, so I just made it. I made this Instagram page, and I didn't expect anything of it. I just thought, at least here I'm not boring anyone. People that choose to follow me, they're runners or whatever, and hopefully they would enjoy it. And it's grown really nicely. We're at sort of like 2,000 followers now on there, and it's a great community. But I think that was probably when I sort of really shifted more towards running, is when sort of like the community on Instagram was growing, and I was getting obviously inspiration from other runners and inspiring other runners and motivation and all that kind of thing. So yeah, I'd probably say about a year and a half ago is where it was really like, running was where, okay, I still want to do the weightlifting. I don't box anymore. I still want to do the weightlifting and keep that sort of aesthetic, bulky type look, because
Yeah,
that's just what I like to look like, just from an own personal perspective. But it's the running that I just love, that I just enjoy. So yeah, probably I'd say then that's where it sort of really shifted, and the main sort of mindset change was after the boxing match and the lead up to the birth of my little girl. As I said, I didn't really think I could commit to going to boxing at 7 o'clock, and because obviously with kids and stuff, you can't really commit to those sort of times. So
oh, exactly. Yeah, I've got
yeah,
a lot of friends with little kids running around, and it's the same thing. Everybody struggles to find that time where they can get
definitely
away for
balance.
that. Exactly.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
I'm glad you continue to pursue it, and I'm even though you've only sort of shifted running to being your main physical activity,
Yeah.
or the one that you sort of promote the most. Um, Even though your running history is fairly short, you are already posting some fairly amazing times when it comes to racing and time trials and all that kind of thing. Without embarrassing you, without, don't go into any more detail than you want to, but
That's
I'd
fine.
love it if you shared sort of the highlights of your running history with me.
Yeah, definitely. So this isn't in any big-headed way at all, but anything that I do, I don't ever want to be the best at. I was never the best boxer. I was never the best weightlifter. I'll never be the best runner, but I want to be like the best me at that thing that I get into. I just really sort of throw myself into it. So it's like, if I'm going to run, I want to be a decent runner. If I'm going to box, I want to be a decent boxer, that kind of thing. So that's what sort of happened with running. And at the start, I made a lot of excuses for myself, not in a negative way, but just to kind of, oh, you're a 90, 95 kilogram runner. You're not going to be able to ever go sub 19 on a 5K. You know, like it's just science. You know, you're a big guy. You know, it's fine. You got 1906. That's fine. You probably won't be able to get faster. And it not in a negative way. Kind of just like I just thought, you know, it's not possible. You know, like it's just most of these guys that I see running around the sort of 60 kilos, 50 kilos that are running the 17, 16, 15, 40-minute 5Ks.
Yeah,
And I just sort of put that limitation on myself, you know, and I think I just kind of had like a mindset change, and I just sort of thought like, well, why can't I? Like, if I do push harder, why can't I? You know, and so
exactly.
yeah, so now it was actually my first ever attempt to go sub 19 when I really changed my focus to training, sort of slowed down a bit on most of the runs for like the zone 2 easy perceived effort runs. I did it a little bit more structure in terms of like intervals, tempo runs, hill reps. I did all that anyway, but just sort of honed it in a little bit more and sort of not too structured, but a little bit more structured, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then so I sort of put that training in. No, it wasn't like oh, I'm going to train for 16 weeks, 20 weeks. It's just I'm going to do this for a little while and then give it a go. Give a 5K time trial a go. And
Uh-huh.
I ended up getting 17 minutes 43 on that time trial. So I
That's
went from
awesome.
1906 to 1743. And I just thought like that's amazing, you know. And now I'm going to go do that for my 10K and my half marathon, you know. Like if I can do that for a 10K, a 5K, there's no reason why I can't put that training into a 10K, into a half marathon, you know, that kind of
Absolutely.
thing. And then that's sort of where it came from. So yeah, I mean now at the moment I'm trying to get for a sub 17 5K. That's one of my goals for this year.
Awesome. Same
And
here.
then yeah, it's a great target. It just seems so difficult to get, but you know, I tried this year. So my best at the moment is 17 minutes 21. The best before that was 17 minutes 28. So my cat's just
Wow.
it
So
was
you're moving
17
in the
minutes.
right direction. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so 17:28. So I went for a sub 16 attempt and I got 17:21 last year. So I
Okay.
wasn't quite there, but and then I ended up getting injured. And then obviously now I'm sort of like not starting again, but like building back up to it. And then so yeah, with a 10K, I think it's 36 minutes 30, something like that. A half marathon. I haven't had a race for a while since being injured, but that's 121. And then a marathon, I've never actually like raced a marathon. I've only ever done a lap challenge.
Yeah.
And I think I said to you before on the live stream, an ultra marathon that I did when my nan died, that I did a 28-mile ultra run, like in memory of her kind of thing.
Mhm.
So they're the only 2 times I've ever done a marathon. So my best time for a marathon is 3 hours 27, but that was during that ultra marathon,
Yeah. Which
which
amazes me.
at no point I was racing either. It was not more of like just a sort of an emotional thing, you know, like it was just like I was thinking of. I think I said to you before on the live stream, but obviously for people that don't know, it was I kind of put it out there on Instagram. Like if you want to join me in this, you don't have to do an ultra marathon. Of course, it was on the 7th of the 7th at 7 a.m. You know, so it was easy for people to remember. I said, you know, if you can go out at 7 o'clock in the morning on the 7th of the 7th, and you can do whatever you want, 7 miles, 7K, you can do a 7 mile bike ride, whatever you want to do, just so it was like that community type thing going on, you know. And it was amazing. I think I ended up making a montage of it in a little video, but I think something like 28 people did it as well with me,
That's so
which
great.
is amazing, you know. Like it just, and I think that really helped as I was running, just thinking of all the people that were doing it with me, the friends that were doing it with me. And I think there was somebody else that did do a 28-mile run as well on that day, just to sort of support me as well. So yeah, I mean, that's sort of the history of my running so far at the moment, I would say.
So that's so great. I mean, it's funny because not only do we have a lot in common in the way that we approach running, um, but it's funny that we're our trajectories are like almost in perfect parallel because like it was like last October of
Yeah,
2020 that I started going after more um, dedicated track work and interval type of stuff. Right,
yeah,
it must have been right around the same time that you were starting to pursue that, and our times are so similar. It's like
It's so
I
close.
think you
Yeah,
got me bested on the 5K by a few seconds here or there, etc. But we're so close in all of our distances.
definitely.
But
Yeah.
the other thing that I really wanted to point out that I love about you and your channel and your presence across all of social media is that you're not just there to say, hey, look at me, I'm pushing hard and aren't I
No.
great? What you're doing is saying, hey, look at me, I'm pushing hard, you can too, here's how you
Yeah,
do it.
definitely.
And your exuberance and your natural attitude, you're very inspirational, and
Oh,
I
thank
love
you.
that, and that's why I wanted to have you here today. There's
Thank
one
you.
other big reason I wanted to have you here today. We'll get to that later, but
Yeah,
you know, I wanted to shine a spotlight on your channel because you know,
amazing. Thank
it's
you.
it's
Yeah.
good stuff, and I'm so glad that I got to meet you through Tony James, another great runner. Everybody,
Yeah,
go
it's
check him
funny
out
how
as
that
well.
worked out, isn't it? It's funny how that worked out.
Yeah. So with all that said, Sam, I want you to talk a little about what motivates you to run now and what your upcoming goals are.
Yeah, definitely. So, I think one of the biggest things, like you mentioned there, is the fact that I've sort of, through my friend as well, who we've gone in together with, we've created what is called the RMS Run Club. So, even though RMS obviously stands for Running Man Sam, it's more than that. You know, that's just so it can people recognize RMS from me, but it's more than that. That's why we made it more of an acronym rather than Running Man Sam Run Club, just so like it's just recognizable, but not just about me. And that's what motivates me massively at the moment is that, so what we're trying to do with the RMS Run Club is we're trying to create a completely different experience for runners. Basically going back to what I said there about the fact that I'm a 95 kilo, depending on how much food I've had for the day, runner, weightlifter, boxer, all that kind of thing. But I'm also a very competitive person. I like to do well. I like to, push myself, and I like to race against other people, and that kind of thing. And I'm not a sore loser by any means. But as I said to you a minute ago, when I'm racing and there's a guy at the front who weighs 50 kilos, who weighs 30, 40 kilos less than me, and they're getting, a 12-minute 5K, for example, if we're talking specifically, and I'm getting 17 minutes. Well, that's not fair because you wouldn't have a heavyweight championship boxer fighting a lightweight cruiserweight boxer. It just wouldn't happen. The heavyweight would destroy him. 9 times out of 10, the heavyweight would destroy him, and the match would be over in seconds. That is what I want to do with running, and that is what the purpose of the RMS Run Club is. We haven't finalized the details yet, but we're trying to create an atmosphere where you can race in leagues, where you can be with other people that are the same. I don't know whether it be weight class or ability. We need to finalize the exact, metric for how we categorize that. But so that, imagine how inspiring it is for people if they can, and it's not detrimental, they only can run a half marathon at a 9-minute mile pace.
Mhm.
They might not push themselves that much because they know they're going to come 200, 300, 400, depending on how big the race is. But imagine if they was running against, it might have to be virtual to work, but imagine if they was running against people, say 100 people that all can run a half marathon in a 9-minute mile pace. How
Mhm.
much more motivated they would be knowing that they have that opportunity to win this race. Like they could come first. They could be the person that comes first, second, or third. And for me, that's a huge motivational thing at the moment, is creating this RMS Run Club and sort of really putting it out there to people to help other people. But that's just one side of things. Taking aside that, what motivates me the most is my children, is wanting to inspire them. They love watching my shoe reviews, my videos, that kind of thing. They come in, they put the telly on, and they're sitting there watching it, and just sort of, it's just awesome. And I get in from a run, and I do stretches, and they're doing the stretches with me, and all that
That's so
kind of
great.
thing. And and it's great, to see them wanting to do that. Like one of my little ones will come in, and he's like, "Can we go for a run?" I'm trying. It's great that, especially in a world these days where a lot of children want to just play on their DSs or PlayStations or whatever it is. And don't get me wrong, they do that as well. I'm not pretending our kids are perfect and just want to do physical activities all the time. But, it's good to inspire them, and make them want to do that kind of stuff. And again,
Absolutely.
like linking in with what I said a minute ago, again, what motivates me massively is just my personal desire to want to do well, to want to be someone that whatever I do, I want to try and do it to like the best of my ability, not in a big-headed way, not that I'm the best. Just I like to just put my all into it. You know, I just like to
Absolutely.
think that I did as much as I could for that race or whatever. And if it didn't go well, what am I going to do better next time? You know, and yeah,
Ex-
that's what motivates me. Probably those things. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We're at completely different stages in life, but as far as running goes, that's exactly what motivates me to get out there every day. It's like I'm not
Yeah.
competing with anybody else. I'm old. You know what I mean? There are people who can destroy me without trying, but I want to be better than I was yesterday. That's what
But
keeps me going.
that's also, I mean, I know it's going off topic slightly, but that's also what the run club's for. The RMS Run Club is that, you know, as again, I don't, it might not necessarily just be weight. There could be an age factor. We've got to finalize how the metrics work for the leagues. But you might not be destroyed, Paul. You might be in a league where you can come first in a marathon. You can come first in a 5K. You're racing 100 other people that have all got the same sort of marathon time as you, as I say, whether it's virtually or not. And that would be amazing. You could win something that, you know, you probably wouldn't normally win on a larger scale. And I
Yeah,
certainly wouldn't win on a larger scale. And that's what we're trying to create, you know, that's what we're trying to make.
yeah, and it's great. I mean, it's just such a. It's one thing to go into a race and say, okay, I'm going to try to do good in my age category for whatever particular, in-person or virtual race it may be.
Yeah,
But what you're doing, I think adds so much value because what you're doing is you're grouping people in a similar way, but you're doing it in a community where everybody
exactly.
knows
Yeah,
each other. They can talk outside of just, you know, lining up at the start line and you're already nervous and nobody's in a talkative mood. You already know who you're dealing with. And it's that sense of community that not only makes the competition more fun, but it motivates you during the buildup
definitely.
as well, So
Definitely. Yeah, yeah.
it's a great thing you're doing.
No, thank you. Yeah, like I say, we're still not at that stage where we can explore that yet. We've got a lot of stuff to do, but you know, as I said to you before in the live stream, we're just at the moment just with the community-based side of things. We're just, you know, introducing fun weekly challenges that we all get involved in. Again, just to sort of make it fun for people, build a community so that we're all inspiring and motivating each other. You know, we share their stories on our page and on our Strava page and all that kind of thing. And then yeah, it's also about making structure to what you're doing a little bit more fun. You know, so we did 1,000-foot elevation in one run, which
I
some people
remember.
might do daily, but some people might not ever do. You know, so that introduces hill reps to people and think, oh, I actually enjoy doing hill reps. So I might do that a little bit more in the future. And you know, last week we did our fastest 1 mile. Again, some people might do that weekly, but most people don't do that weekly. And it gave
Yeah,
them an opportunity to actually see what they could do if they went all out for a mile. And
exactly. It's a
you know,
great baseline.
yeah. So and this week it's simpler this week, but we didn't want to do too much fast stuff all the time and hard
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
because we don't want everyone to get injured. But so this week we just done 150 squats in a week. Again, it's a simple one, but the concept behind it is clear in that we want to introduce strength training into runners' routine. Again, there might be people that do 50 squats every single day, then that's fine. They can choose to go above and beyond that. That's fine. But there might be somebody that never does a squat in their whole life, you know? So if you can introduce some strength training into their routine, obviously with the principle there of helping to reduce a chance of injury and building your glute strength and all that kind of thing, then that's what that challenge is there for, you know. And it'll be a weekly thing where we, between myself and my business partner, we sort of discuss what we would do for the next week kind of thing. Yeah.
I got you. Now I'm going to stop you there because you just led me perfectly into my next question. I want to know you personally, and from there, feel free to expand out to the bigger picture.
Yeah,
But talk about how weightlifting has impacted you as a runner.
definitely. So I will say that obviously I wouldn't be able to weightlift the way I used to weightlift, I don't think, to push my running goals the way that I want to. So, for example, I wouldn't be able to, you know, I can sort of went back in the heyday when I was the strongest me, if you like. I could deadlift 210 kilos 2 times, you know, like that's a heavy weight, you know, like I wouldn't even attempt to do something like that now. I could squat 200 kilos for 8 reps. You know, like I was strong. I was a strong guy. I'm still strong, but I don't train in that sort of way because it's not running related, is it? There's no sense in me doing a 210 deadlift, putting my back out, and then not being able to run. So obviously, weightlifting, the way I weightlift has changed and adapted to fit in with running. Which
Okay.
obviously, if running is now my priority, it had to. But that's mainly for sort of the legs and lower back kind of thing. I don't lift as heavy for chest and shoulders as I would back in the day, but I don't go light as such. You know, I still, because I like to keep like the bulky side of things. But
Yeah.
with all that being said, weightlifting is still crucial in, even if I didn't love weightlifting, would still be crucial in running and getting better as a runner
I'm glad you
because of
said
the
that.
fact that obviously, you know, your body is going through so much when you're running and you're putting it under so much strain, and you're not actually, or as you know, you're not building muscle unless you're running uphill all the time or downhill. You're not really building muscle. In fact, most of the time you're doing the opposite if you've not fueled correctly and you're not building as you're going. You're actually breaking down your muscle stores.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what you're actually doing when you're running is the opposite of weightlifting in a way. It's weight taking. You know, you're taking weight away from yourself.
Yep.
So as I say, forget the fact that I like weightlifting. As a runner, weightlifting is just so important, and it's something that I do on a daily, well, not on a daily basis, but 2 or 3, 4 times a week, depending on my work schedule, YouTube, all that kind of thing. A lot of stuff going on, but I always fit it in. And just for anybody watching this, you don't have to lift heavy to do it. You don't have to be going into a gym and squat 210 kilos. You don't have to try and kill yourself with some deadlifts or whatever it is. All you need to do is some resistance training. You can even just use bands as long as you're using them correctly.
Yeah.
What you're doing is you're adding that extra level of resistance to your muscles, and obviously you're building up the strength there. And the aim of it is to reduce the risk of injury, increase your power. So, like, you know, when you're running, you've got a little bit more glute push off or a little bit more, you know, all those kind of things, as you know, Paul. And it's just really important, besides whether you enjoy weightlifting or not, to incorporate that into your routine. It just really is, you know, you'd be amazed at how much of a difference you would see in your running and your injuries if you incorporate it to a sensible level. If you're obviously going to the gym and smashing out ridiculous heavy weight, you're going to have DOMs, your running will suffer. You know, as long as you do it in a sensible, methodical and overloading way, where you overload progressively week or 2 weekly period, then you'll see a huge change in your running and your injury. You know, obviously I can't ever say you will not get injured. Everyone gets injured and anything can happen. I can't wave a magic wand and say you're going to be fine, but it just reduces your risk of injury for overuse type injuries and sort of and strains and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's my view on that, I'd say.
Wonderfully put too, and I think you covered all the bases there. You know, if you are a runner primarily, there are a lot of coaches who say weightlifting as a runner is not an option. It's a requirement, and
Yeah,
for all the reasons that you said, I think you just, like I said, you covered it perfectly, because it makes you faster, it makes you stronger, it makes you more injury resistant.
Yeah.
It promotes better form. It's
Yeah.
just you have to do it. Just get out there, try it. It doesn't have to be more than like 30 minutes twice a week, and the benefits are just massive.
Yeah.
Let's leave that there. And I want to get onto something, you know, before we run on too long. I'm amazed with your obsession with running shoes, sir. Your collection is amazing, and it's like you have become like the first place I go when a new shoe comes out that's like got my attention. The first place I go is to you now, because I know you've probably already got it. So talk a little bit about that.
Definitely. So my running obsession has got nothing to do with my YouTube page. So speaking to some YouTubers, their love for shoes came from their YouTube page, knowing that if they was getting all the new shoes, it would boost their views and all that kind of thing, which makes sense, obviously. But mine was actually the complete opposite of that. Like I didn't have a YouTube channel. I just had my Instagram, and I just love different shoes. I just love it. I don't know why. There's just something about it. I think I've just always been like that. Like, this is probably some irrelevant information, but it isn't at the same time. I remember when I was like going through a phase of wanting to get my hair awesome back in the day. I would try this gel, this pomade, this wax, this gel. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm like, is this one better? Maybe this one's better. Maybe this one's, oh yeah, but this one says it's better. You know, like it was like
Oh yeah. Oh
like,
yeah.
how do I decide? How do I decide which one I want? And as you can imagine, that has transferred into my running. So it's like, oh, this shoe's good. Oh yeah, but what about this one? Oh, this one's slightly different. This one does this. And yeah, it's just grown from there. Like, I just, some of them feel similar, but a lot of them feel just so differently on my foot. And I always sort of describe it on my YouTube channel as how a wine connoisseur tastes their wine. They put it in their mouth and they swish it around and they try and work out what notes and flavors and sub notes they're finding. And I really, really try and do that when I'm running. Obviously my foot isn't that advanced as a tongue, but the concept I'm getting at is that I just really try and feel just what that foam's sensation is sending through me, kind of thing. And I just love that feeling of different shoes, whether it be a low stack height shoe or a fast shoe or a carbon plate racing shoe. And then that just sort of transferred over to, I thought, well, I like talking about shoes. I love talking about shoes. Like, it's just so natural. I might write the weight down. Other than that, I never write anything down. Because I just know how to talk about it, it's just something I love so much. I never write anything down. It's never scripted. And I just thought, well, I do a bit of reviews on Instagram. Why don't I do it on YouTube? Why don't I, because more people watch YouTube reviews in theory, as long as you get the right market for it. Why don't I bring it to YouTube? So I've sort of brought that obsession over to YouTube, and as you say, I try and unfortunately, hopefully it will happen, but I'm not at the level like Kafuzi and Seth, where they get shoes sent to them for free. So that's brilliant. They can review all the best shoes in the world because they haven't got to buy every shoe in the world. They get Nike sending them this shoe and Adidas sending them that shoe, and hopefully that will come. And I know those people that I mentioned there specifically, I know that doesn't influence their decision. But obviously, it makes it easier to get that shoe and put the review out there if they don't have to commit to £100, £200 every time to buy it. Because obviously, although my YouTube channel is growing very nicely, I'm not monetized yet, so I don't make any money from my YouTube content. It's all just like you. It's all just time invested and to hopefully grow in it. So obviously, as much as I try and keep up to date, and trust me, Paul, I would like to buy every single shoe that ever comes out. Unfortunately, I'm not a billionaire, so there is limits where there are new shoes that I have to go, oh, as much as I want this, I can't quite afford to justify to buy that. But I try and obviously, especially now that I have got the YouTube channel, I will never buy a shoe that I wouldn't be interested in anyway, unless it was one that I particularly thought would do really well, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to create a business here, so you have to be savvy in a way. But I wouldn't just buy loads of shoes that I wouldn't use, because that's just a waste of money. So I tend to try and buy the ones that I would have bought if I didn't have the YouTube channel, but just ones that I know that are pique people's interest, like the big upcoming shoes. And obviously there's certain shoes that I can't go for because I just can't afford to buy a new shoe every day or every week. And the running shoe companies, go on.
No, you do. You kind of, this question came up as you were saying that. Do you naturally gravitate towards a particular type of shoe, or do you like more up tempo shoes, or are you just all over the place?
Definitely all over the place. So it stems from what I said earlier, where like I feel like so many shoes are different, and then obviously they're similar across brands. So, but then I want to try the other brands. You know what I mean? So it's like, obviously you've got your tempo shoes, your interval day shoes, long run, easy run, recovery. Then you could even break that down further if you wanted, like short tempo work, long tempo work. Like, that's a justification I give to the girlfriend, at least. Like, oh, I need one of these shoes because this one does this and this one does that. But then obviously you've got the difference across brands. So then you've got that type of shoe from Adidas, that type of shoe from Nike, Puma. so on and so on. And so yeah, that I don't have a favorite type of shoe, because I really do believe that they're so different for different things.
Absolutely.
Obviously, for people that can't afford two, three, four, five pairs of trainers, there are definitely shoes that I would say is a do-it-all trainer, for that kind of like market, where it's not the best at this or the best at that, but it literally can do everything. Of
Yep.
course, those sorts of shoes exist, but you've also obviously got shoes that are very specific to what their design is for, and they shine in their own way, and they fail miserably for the things that they're not designed for, because they're not designed for that. And
Yep.
that's what I enjoy. I enjoy figuring out what a shoe's purpose is, how it fits in my rotation, and how it can fit in your rotation or whoever's watching it rotation, based on what they want from a shoe, based on whether they want to specify it down to, like, a tempo day shoe, an interval day shoe, whatever, or whether they just want one shoe that will do it all. And
Exactly.
that's what I kind of try and do on my reviews. I always say what I think the shoe's purpose is. I'll say other shoes that are in the category of that shoe in terms of what it's marketed at and what I feel it translates to after running in both of those shoes. The pros, like a few of the best things of it, and the cons, and then obviously breaking down in detail the shoe itself, just talking about what I love talking about. But yeah, that's just sort of basically. I think I answered your question now. I kind of went off
Yeah, no,
on a
no,
tangent a little bit, but
no, I think you nailed it. I think you nailed it down. And back towards the beginning of your answer there, you said that you started doing shoe reviews on your Instagram page,
yeah.
which kind of leads me to believe that you may have jumped into YouTube, because did you find that to be a more natural outlet for your shoe reviews, or was your motivation to move over to YouTube for bigger reasons than that?
I think a bit of both. I would put them on Instagram and they would get the views, but not the real engagement there. Like, obviously I've got people that follow me because they know I love shoes, but Instagram is mainly like a community for, like, look at the run I just did, and look at this and look at that. And I've noticed when I post stuff about a YouTube video, it gets a lot less engagement than, like, I've just gone and run 13 miles and this is my time,
Yep.
because that's what I feel Instagram is for. Like a community of, like, well done on your run. If you're in the running community, I mean, like, well done on your run, that kind of thing. But people aren't so interested in unless they specifically like shoes, because a lot of people run but don't really love shoes. They're like, oh,
Oh
I'll
yeah.
just buy a shoe and just run, and that's fine. Those sort of people are also fine, but I'm not one of them people, as we said. And yeah, so I think with the YouTube, it was like a kind of like a thought of what I can do a bit bigger, like if I can get my reviews onto YouTube, and I clearly love talking about shoes and understand shoes quite well,
Mhm.
if I can grow the channel and obviously build something from it. And it has kind of led that way already. Obviously I'm still a relatively small channel, but it's growing really quickly. And obviously through that has been the birth of the RMS Run Club, which is the community that we've spoken about. And then obviously I've just got visions of what we can build from there, with the Run Club working in tangent with the YouTube channel and the Instagram page, all working together to sort of promote a community, and then a community that can obviously reference shoe reviews if they want, or workouts if they want. And yeah, it sort of like feeds itself, like one feeds the other in a way. The Run Club feeds the YouTube, and vice versa. And yeah, I just think YouTube is the best platform to put that stuff out there, because people are specifically typing in X and X shoe, or whatever, so
Yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah.
actively looking for that review. Whereas on Instagram, you're kind of forcing it on them. It's
Yeah.
like,
I
this
get the
is the
same
review.
feeling there. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the review I've done. Watch it. And they're kind of like, all your best mates and your key followers will watch it, but a lot of the straggler followers are like, they lose interest. You
Yeah.
do notice a different interest with it, which is fine. You can't make people interested in everything. Um, but yeah, so that's obviously what I use the YouTube for, because that's what they are looking for. They're
Exactly.
typing in this shoe or this workout or this race or whatever, and you don't have to bore other people with all the details of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's where you find that niche audience. Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
so Sam, I'm going to switch gears just a little bit here, and I'm going to ask you, if you can think of anything, to share something that your followers on any other social media might not already know about you.
Um, oh, that's a tough one. I don't really know. You put me on the spot. Something they don't really know about me. Um, I guess I did touch on it briefly last night in my live stream, but there was a period of time where I went through a stage where I didn't do any exercise at all,
Okay.
and I sort of like went through like a little bit of like a mild depression, I guess, in a way,
Okay.
like just sort of like the things with my ex-partner at the time wasn't going very well, lots of arguments, and we split up, and obviously, as I said, my little girl was born, and I still see her, but I wasn't seeing her growing up as much because we wasn't together and that kind of thing. So I wasn't in a great state, if you like, like I
Mhm.
was just sort of not going to the gym, not running, not doing anything. This was kind of just after my boxing match, in
Okay.
the build up to the birth of my little girl. And yeah, no, some people may know this, but it's not a secret. But that's not something that I often put out there. But it's something that I have been thinking about recently, and I'm thinking of making a YouTube video about it, just to sort of put it out there that it's okay to talk about not being okay, and again, like you say, not, oh, look at me, I went from being depressed and now I'm awesome. It's not going to be about that. It's going to be like, you can do it as well. Like there's nothing special about Running Man Sam. As much as I try my hardest, like I'm not a god. I'm not special. I'm a normal person. And if I can get out of a depression, and then hopefully other people can too. And if you can put that message out there to people that, look what I've been through, look what I've done. And I'm not pretending that what I've been through is horrible, but it's all relative to a person. It doesn't matter. If if
Exactly.
some if someone's depressed because they've lost their job, and someone else thinks that's nothing to be depressed about, it's irrelevant, because how you deal with emotions is personal to you. So you're allowed to be depressed about whatever you want to be depressed about. Someone might think you can't be, but you can, and it's how you deal with it that's personal to you. So yeah, I guess that's probably the only thing I can really think about, is that not a lot of people know that it's not a secret, but I don't put that out there a lot. It's like not because I'm scared of it, just because it doesn't really come up in topic. I will sometimes put a Transformation Tuesday post on Instagram about where I looked slightly overweight, and then obviously the build I am now, kind of thing. And it was kind of like a three-stage thing, because it was like, gym man, getting a bit fat, and then like running gym man. So it's like, it's not like a transformation as such, but like a re-transformation kind of thing, if you like. But yeah, that's the only thing I can really think about, to be honest.
No, I'm so glad I asked that question, because I absolutely love your answer, because it touches on a different side of you, and
Yeah,
it's something that sooner or later everybody has to face a little bit of a sort of a lull. And
definitely.
if you can shine a light, if you can set an example, like you said, some people go through things that are really tough in life,
Definitely.
but to be able to look at someone else and to see how they dealt with it gives you a little guidance, gives you a little help to get back to where you want to be. So thank you for sharing that. That was
Yeah, no
really, that was
worries.
great. That was great. And right along those lines, you're leading me through this list of questions so perfectly. It's just a natural thing here. So talk a little bit about how running specifically has changed your life for the better.
Yeah, massively. So I mean, when I couldn't run over Christmas, just before Christmas, I had a lead up to that. I had plantar fasciitis, which didn't stop me running, which is probably a bad thing, because sometimes I would rather it did stop me running, because I ended up not really doing much about it and just carrying on running,
I
because it
got you.
wouldn't hurt while I was running. That was probably the only time that it didn't hurt, was when I was running, because we were stretching out the plantar fascia, and so that was why I carried on running. But because subconsciously, through, I don't know whether it was 6 months or 7 months, 8 months, something like that, but because obviously subconsciously I must have been adjusting my gait as I was running, and maybe landing a little bit more on the outside, the lateral side of my foot, I
Mhm.
ended up damaging the extensor tendons on the top of my foot.
Oh
So
boy.
then I had an injury in my heel and an injury on the top of my foot. The injury in the top of my foot literally didn't allow me to run at all. Like, I could barely walk. on
Yeah.
it for a
Yeah.
while. And then, as you can imagine, having two injuries on the complete opposite end of the antagonistic pair didn't help well at all, because trying to rectify both of those injuries, the stretches for one aggravated the other and vice versa. As you can imagine there, as you would stretch the heel, putting pressure here, vice versa.
Uh-huh.
So to answer your question, I couldn't run at that time. And I was normally running 50, 60 miles a week,
Okay.
which I know a lot of people run more than that, but obviously for my build, that just works well. That's high mileage
No,
for
that's
me.
still
Like
high
that,
mileage in
yeah,
general. So
that was a high mileage for me. Like that was very high mileage. Like, but I was consistently doing it 50 miles, 55, 60, smashing out all the, going for, again, attacking all my time trials, 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, not quite a marathon, but, getting all through that. And then this injury happened and I couldn't run. And, my mood changed massively. Like I just was stressed out all the time. Just not depressed, but just sick of it. When you're just sick
yeah.
of it, you just think like, oh, I just can't be bothered. I just want to go out and run. Like obviously I was still training in the gym. I was still trying to go on the spin bike, which is the most boring thing in the whole entire universe for me. And to answer your question, it makes a massive difference to me, because when I couldn't run, my mood was, I wasn't great to be around in the house, like
Yeah. Yeah.
if I'm not doing the stuff that I love and getting the right amount of sleep and the right amount of food, then I'm a bit of a grumpy person, like it's just kind of like a bit of a bear head, that kind of thing. Like, and not being able to run made me like that, because it's all I could think about was wanting to go out and run, and seeing new shoes that I was buying that couldn't go out and run in because my foot was too sore. So for me, running is a massive form of catharsis, a way of getting out, purging the stress, purging just your thoughts, getting away from the kids, as much as I love the kids, but getting away from the kids and the girlfriend and work, and just escaping into the world of running, whether it's on a road or going for a lovely trail run where you're just surrounded by nature. And I think the answer there is massively, like, running, it elates me, it makes me feel awesome when I'm doing it. Even if you have a rubbish run, you still feel good afterwards, as long as you don't
Oh,
hurt yourself,
absolutely.
but you still feel good, you've got the endorphins going, and you're feeling good. So yeah, I mean, I can't imagine a world without me wanting to run, like it just, when I was injured, it was just awful. I just hated it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing to me, like when non-runners see a runner go by and they'll say something along the lines of, I don't know how they can do that. They're crazy. What they don't realize is that running is only partly about the physical activity. It's such a
Yeah, definitely.
big bonus to your mental stability, to your happiness. It's just, I'm once again,
Definitely.
great answer. So
Definitely.
I'm going to jump in, Sam. This is the last sort of question I've got for you. I'd like you to share a favorite piece of advice for other runners and other YouTubers.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll do the runners, but I'll do them separately, because I think they're going to be definitely two different things. The best advice I can give for runners is, there's so much, but just the one thing is that a lot of people don't do, and a lot of people that say on my YouTube videos and they don't do it, is to stretch after a run. Now, that I know a lot of people might think, and I was exactly the same. Okay, so I'm not like some sort of gymnast that's like, I love stretching. Like I hate stretching. It's so boring. I get in from a run, I'm knackered. I want to eat some food. I want to sit on the sofa. I want to have a bath. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to stretch.
Yep.
But it's invested time, Paul. It's invested into your run. If I've got 40 minutes spare, 30 minutes will be a run, 10 minutes will be dedicated to stretching. Now, I don't know if you're different with that, but for me, it makes such a big difference. When I
Oh,
first started
absolutely.
running, everyone's going to me, oh, at the run club, we're doing intervals. Yeah, go home, do your stretches. I'm like, yeah, okay, go home, do my stretches. I'm not going to stretch. I'm going to go home. I'm going to be fine.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting injured because just overuse, your muscles are tight, everything's working so hard, and everything's just, as I say, tight. Everything's pulling. And 9 times out of 10, where you feel the pain is literally nothing to do with where the pain is originating from. For example, when you've got plantar fasciitis, it's mainly because either your calves are tight or your hamstrings are tight, or even your glutes or lower back is tight. and it pulls all the way along the mechanical, the biomechanical chain, and that is what causes the issue. So I'm going to say to you guys, yes, it's boring. Yes, I completely understand what you're talking about. Yes, I was that person that said, I don't need to stretch, you're talking a load of rubbish. But I can promise you that I've completely changed my mindset with that. I see the full value in stretching and how much of a difference it's made in my ability to continue running, in my ability to, it's not going to make you a better runner, but it's going to hopefully prevent you from getting injuries where you can train to get a better runner. And if you're not doing those stretching, you might go a week, 2 weeks, a month without any injury, but I can promise you at some point along the line, it will catch up with you.
Yep.
It will catch up with you, your muscles getting tight, and it's worth investing 10, 15 minutes after every run, whether it's a 3-mile run or a 33-mile run, doing those stretches. So, I mean, that's my best advice for new runners and even intermediate runners that don't stretch.
Oh, yeah. I know a lot of runners who've been at it
There's
for
a
years.
lot of intermediate runners that don't stretch. And I talk to them and I think like, and they're getting injured and they're getting injured and they're getting injured. And I'm saying like, just stretch. Like I'm not preaching to you, but just please, just stretch. Yeah. So that's my tip for runners. My tip for YouTubers is see what other people are doing, but don't copy other people. Okay, like you've got to have your own unique identity because there's a lot of stuff out there, and I'm not slandering anyone. People's stuff is amazing, and they all do their own content. But it's quite obvious when you've taken something that somebody else does all the time and not put your own spin on it. Now, yes, of course, you can look at the big guns and how they do their YouTube videos, and you can take inspiration from what they do. But if you clear-cut copy it, it doesn't translate. You want to make a name for yourself. You don't want to be Kafuzi's twin or Seth James's twin. Like you want to be whoever your YouTube channel is. So it will take a while and it will take longer to establish that sort of feel to it. But people will come to recognize your style of editing or your style of video. And obviously, like I say, definitely take inspiration from people and see what works and try it and put your own spin on it. But create your own unique identity so that people come to your channel because they like your video, not because not necessarily, they might not even care about the shoe or the workout, but they like your style of delivery. They like your humor. They like your clear-cut presentation. However you do it, exactly. They like that, and that's the biggest thing. That's something that I think is quite clear in my videos. Like I've got a very unique style of how I do things. I love to sort of take the mick out of myself. I like to keep it fun, but I also like to put the facts in there and try and make running as fun and as interesting as possible. And of course, there'll be people that don't like my humor approach to it. Some people want it to be delivered in a clear-cut way, and that's absolutely fine. But you don't want to attract the whole world. You want to attract specific to your channel because then your engagement will be better because the people that are watching it are people that have a similar mindset to you. So, you don't want people that are interested in just data if you're making jokes every second because they're not going to be watching. You know what I mean? So yeah, my best sort of advice is create your own identity. Obviously, get a feel for what other people do, and of course, be inspired by others. But have your own identity. Make it your channel. It's your channel. Do it how you want. Some people are going to hate it. Some people are going to moan at you. Some people are going to. I have it all the time. Some people say in the comments, "Oh, I can't believe you think this." Just take it with a pinch of salt. You've put yourself out there. You decided to make a YouTube channel. You've got to take it on the chin. Obviously, if someone's been really horrible, it's not necessary. Just report them. But you've put yourself out there. It's to be expected. You're going to get positive comments. You're going to get negative comments. But as long as you're being true to your identity and not doing something where they're commenting because they can see you're clearly copying or trying to divert from your normal style, then their negative comment is irrelevant because you're doing what you feel is the right way of doing it. So yeah, that's my biggest advice there. And I think it works. Like my channel is growing nicely. It's by no means blowing up, and I'm all of a sudden on thousands and thousands and thousands. But I'm hoping that people are seeing the authenticity there and the style and I'm attracting the style of people that I want to be watching the videos, you know, because like
Exactly.
you don't,
Exactly.
it's not going to appease everyone, and it won't. You can't. There's everything in the world. People are going to hate it. People are going to love it, and that's what you've got to do.
Exactly. Be yourself, find your own voice. As you said, get your inspiration, use other people as an inspiration, as a jumping off point.
Definitely,
But
definitely,
find your own voice as soon as you can,
definitely.
and be bold about it. Don't be dissuaded by those few negative voices.
Yeah.
Listen to those people who are
You know the way I
encouraging you.
think of it? If you're getting negative comments, do you know what that means? Your video is being put out there by people that haven't seen it. So it's a positive. It means that your video is being viewed, whether they liked it or not, by people that aren't already subscribed to your channel. Because 9 times out of 10, your subscribers, even if they don't like it, aren't really going to say they don't like it most of the time,
Exactly.
because they're nice. You know, it's like, we subscribe to you, we're nice. So if you've got negative comments and thumbs down, see it as a positive. It means that people that don't normally watch your channel are being introduced to your channel. So something's going right, that your video is being put out there to people that haven't already watched it.
Now, it's beautiful advice, Sam. And I hope everybody really takes that to heart. Especially, you know, I've got a lot of people subscribed to my channel. I'm a relatively small channel too. So I'm supported by a lot of other small YouTubers. And
Yeah,
you know, so I think your advice is going to hit a lot of people straight on, and it's advice that we all need. And I'm going to take what you just said to heart as well. You know, I'm
yeah,
going to keep
definitely.
on. I'm going to continue specializing, and I'm not going to be
Yeah,
scared that I'm not going to be appealing to everybody. So what?
definitely. And
So
it's
what?
okay to like adapt along the line, but don't, you know, and that's just your evolution as a person. But yeah, you stick to what you do, you know. If you're confident in what you make, that's what's important at the end of the day, because you know you're being true to yourself. You know that you've delivered that in a way that you find pleasing, and it's not going to please everyone, but it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to please everyone, and I think some of the best content out there is stuff that doesn't please everyone, because if it pleases everyone, then it's not doing one thing right. It's trying to do everything mediocre. You
Yeah.
know, like if you do one thing right, somebody's going to think that's the most awesome thing they've ever seen in their whole life, and somebody else is going to watch that and think, what a load of rubbish that was. And that's what you want. That's what you want.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, this is an interview for you, so I'm not going to go into the details, but boy, have I experienced that in the last couple of days.
And I have as well. Yeah, definitely.
Now, Sam, once again, perfect segue. I want you to share all the different places on social media that people can find you. And don't
Definitely.
worry, I
So
will share all that
yeah,
in the
that's
description
cool.
below,
Yeah.
but please go.
Yeah, so there's quite a few. I'm obviously on Instagram, runningman_Sam, and on YouTube, Running Man Sam. It's all quite simple. It's all Running Man Sam. There's no different names. Um, if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, that'd be awesome. But try and get involved in the RMS Run Club. We are really trying to build something here in terms of, like, as I said to you earlier in this interview, about a world where people can compete with people of a similar level. Like, I really think that's a huge gap in the market that just does not exist. There's
Yep.
nothing like that. There's no way that you can compete with people on the same level as you. As I say, we're not sure on how we create that yet, but that's what the goal is, to have races where you can come first, second, or third. Think how much more you're going to push, knowing you could win that race. You're not going to beat the whippet at the front that weighs 50 kilos, but if you're racing against somebody that has same ability as you, I just think you're going to put so much more effort into it, and you're
Oh,
just going to push
absolutely.
yourself further. I know I would, from a competitive runner that's not elite level. I know if I'm racing against people, whether it's real or virtual, however we do it, that I could beat, that's going to make me put so much more effort in. I can promise you that right now. Like, that will drive me. So if you can check out the RMS Run Club, it's on Instagram as the RMS Run Club, and it's on Strava as the RMS Run Club. And yeah, we're just trying to grow that at the moment. The bigger and the quicker we build that community, as you can imagine, the more it works, because I can't create leagues with only 100 people in it. It's
Yep.
just, it's not big enough, to be able to have this really fair for everyone. It needs to be on a bigger scale, because
Yep.
say if I did it by weight category, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 kilos, for example, that's not fully fair, because if obviously you've got different abilities. So if I'm in the 90 kilo category, I'm a strong runner for a 90 kilo category. Somebody that's maybe an overweight just getting into running 90 kilo runner is nowhere near on the same scale as me, so they're never going to win it. So we'd have to have sub leagues within the leagues.
Yep.
So the bigger it grows, the better the league racing becomes, because we're able to narrow it down into more niches so that more people can be competing fairly and with the ability to move up a league, move down a league, all that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm really excited about it because I really do think it's something that just isn't explored enough. Exploring the difference between people, like our motto is running made fair, and that's what it's about. You know, it's about
That's great.
it's about recognizing that, as I said before, a heavyweight boxer does not box a lightweight boxer. It does not happen. It would not be fair. We're not comparing apples with apples. We're comparing apples with grapes and pears and strawberries, and that's what running is. We're not all the same runner. You know, we all love running, but we're not all the same level. Some of us are overweight, some of us are underweight, some of us are muscly, some of us are lean, some of us are older, some of us are younger. It's not the same. So why are we being compared in the same way? And that is what we want to create. So please, if you don't do anything else, the YouTube channel is brilliant. Watch that, because I'm sure you'll enjoy the shoe reviews. But if you don't do anything else, check out the Run Club, because I think that's going to be great for not just me to create a business, but for everyone. I think that's just a great thing for everyone.
Yeah, I think your enthusiasm shines through completely. I wish you all the luck with that. And as I said, Sam, everybody just look below me right now. There it is. There are all the links that Sam's talking about. Go there, click them, sign up. You know, you won't regret it. And Sam, I absolutely loved talking to you. This is.
Oh, me too. I really enjoyed this.
I'm looking down. It was an hour. It was an hour.
Yeah, it feels like 10 minutes.
Exactly. No, this was a really good time. And thank you so much for being here. And as I said, all the best and luck to you. I'm sure we're going to share the screen several more times in the future.
Definitely.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing this. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Bye-bye.
Cheers. See you later.